Somebody told Maddie had a big guitar, woolly bully, woolly bully. Dun 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 dun. Dum do 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 do. Good morning. How's everybody doing today? Hi there, my droogs. Hello, hello. My little droogies. Yes? Ugh. Let's keep nice and warm here today. Gang since potty train? Huh? Did you ever find out what was in the yard that Dinor ate? No. I went walking out there and I looked around and I couldn't find shit. So I have no clue what he's been munching on out there. How am I doing? I'm doing okay. Trying to get pleasantly stoned myself. That sounds good to me today. Have you ever played the Dark Souls series? Yes, I've played the Dark Souls series. I don't like them. Only up to December 2019 on the Patreon. I'm going to type this and see if you read this in a year when I'm caught up. Yeah, it's going to take you a while. I'm telling you, man, and it's only growing. It's growing by 2 every week. 2 shows every week. Boom, 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 boom. Like clockwork. Chicka, 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 chicka. They just keep coming. Making banh mi sandwiches. Yummy. Why the fuck am I just now getting a notification? At which point did I tell YouTube, nah, I don't care. Don't notify me. Yeah, I don't know. All I can tell you is hit the little bell if you haven't. But most people have, and they still don't get it. It's wonderful, isn't it? Don't you love it? Remember when Trump incited a riot at the Capitol? Yeah, I remember. Pepperidge Farms members. Remember when that happened like a month ago? What are you talking about, kid? The bell just tells me when it's over now. It's like, oh yeah, you missed a stream. Notification, you just missed a live stream. Be sure to check it out. Okay. Why, thank you. Did you ever drop which state you moved to? Nope. Well, maybe. I've dropped a number of states on purpose to sow, confusion amongst the guessers. One of the states that I've dropped may be the state that I'm living in now. May not be. The state of bliss, yes. The state of happiness. It's Illinois. It is. Paul's living in the state of despair, yes. Are you dropping bars in the chat? 1, 2, 3. Not only you and me. Got 180 degrees and I'm caught in between. You rapping in the chat? Bars. Man, if I could chat in my own chat, I'd put a bunch of flames. Fire. That actually wasn't bad bars. I like it. I like it. I like that, Holmes. I like that. Do you guys usually share similar outlooks on where you want to take Pessimist? You're talking about Pessimist Productions? Yes. If we didn't, we wouldn't be working together. We all have similar outlooks for Pessimist Productions and where we want to take it as a company and what we want to be doing in 5 or 10 years, how it's different from what it is now. We all kind of share a vision on that. I think the place where we may have different ideas is how to get there. And that's the kind of upside of having a collaboration like this is, all of the ideas are explored. If Paul was solely in charge, the show would be 200% more gay. That's probably true. It's probably true. I do like a good gay show. You tell Scotty to do it. I'm not Scotty and Taylor's keeper. You want him to stream, go let him know. I don't call up my friends and coworkers to tell them everything people tell me to tell them in Highdeology. They're reachable. Go talk to fucking Scotty. Leave comments on the fucking channel. If you're a patron, leave patron comments. Scotty and Taylor both have Twitters. Get a Twitter and tell them on Twitter. Lol, I imagine Scotty would hate that. Probably so, yeah. But I'm not going to field questions, comments, and suggestions for Scotty over here. Go hit up Scotty's MySpace, yeah. Add Scotty on ICQ and send him an instant message. You've done so many episodes, I forget all the topics you've done. Same here. I've gotten to the point now where, unless I'm sure, like sometimes I'll have an idea where I'm sure. I'm like, we've never covered this. But sometimes I'll have an idea and I'm like, did we cover this already? I have to go look. Like, I have to go search through our fucking back catalog to make sure that I'm not repeating a fucking episode sometimes. So yeah, I mean, there's hundreds of them now, right? How many episodes of fucking Deep Fat Fried are there? It's got to be close to 100 of them. 3 years, 2 a week. How many weeks are in a year? 96 weeks? How many weeks are in a year? 52 weeks. 52 times 2 is 104. 104 times 3 is like 312 episodes, give or take. It's fucking insane. That's nuts. Did not know that. Legal tobacco shot. Oh. Delicious. Nice sativa. That's a cue right there. Legal state. Yep. Legal state. Any hint on what next week's episode is going to be about? No. Oh, don't worry about it, dude. Take your time. Work on it when you got time. That's what I've been doing. You know what I mean? Don't look at it like it's a job. Work on it like it's fun. Let's have fun with this Beauregard shit. But yeah, if you end up needing something else or needing a retake on a stanza or something, just let me know. I struggled a lot, so you're gonna have to do a lot of Frankensteining. It's a tough fucking song. But I can do some retakes for you if you need it. Just let me know what you need. I tried to give you a bunch, but it may not have been enough. Keep up with the manatee? No, I don't. In fact, neither do you now. Best jobs are the jobs you have fun with, yeah. That shit would be hard live. Oh my God, yeah. I think I could do it, but I think I would have to literally just practice it, drill it until it was like second nature in my head. Which, you know, I probably know every lyric to the song now because I've done it so much. But as far as like being able to do it right off tops, end to end, stanza to stanza, I ain't there yet. I got to take my time, and it's just fast. You remember the first time you sent me that beat? I told you, I was like, man, this beat wants fast delivery, and I backburned it because of that. Because I was just like, I don't even know if I can write. If I can even write something fast enough for this, let alone perform it. But I think it's gonna sound dope. In fact, I know it's gonna sound dope. Once Marshall gets done with it, it shall sound dope, and that's good. Which brand is your smartphone? I've got whatever the new iPhone is. I just recently traded in my old iPhone, and it was time for an upgrade on my plan. And I was gonna get like a new, like I was gonna try like an Android. Like I was gonna get like a Samsung Galaxy or some shit and try that out. But at the last minute, it's actually Taylor that talked me out of it. She was like, Paul, don't get a fucking Android. You know you don't want an Android. You've had an iPhone forever. Just get a fucking iPhone. The new iPhone is great. And I was like, all right, I'll just get the iPhone. So whatever the iPhone is what I'm on. I don't know what number it is. They're stupid expensive for like no reason. Yeah, well, I'm on a, you know, my plan or whatever lets me get phone upgrades, so I didn't pay for this phone. Well, I paid for this phone in the monthly phone payment. You know what I mean? Not up front. I didn't go and give them whatever this phone costs. Three cameras means the 12. Yeah, it's got 3 cameras on the back and 2 in the front. You ready for the company towns? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, man. I hate smartphones in general. It turns us into droning, slobbering, mouth breathing idiots. But I do enjoy the look of that new Razer Smart flip phone. I don't know, man. For me, a phone is a tool. Like it's a utility and an expected utility for a lot of people. For me, it's just a tool. Like I have a phone so that I can answer the phone when somebody calls me, so that it's easy for me to come out here and do a stream if I want to, so that I can throw on an Audible book at night and plug it in next to my bedstand and listen to it while I go to sleep. Like that's what a phone is to me. I don't like sit and worship at the altar of my phone. I was mouth breathing, staring at my phone when you read that. I've caught myself doing that before. And it's something that like when I catch myself doing it, I'm like, whoa, I don't like that. Like, I'll do the scroll, the like slack-jawed, glassy-eyed scroll sometimes. Like I'll be looking at Twitter, like Reddit, and I'll just go like, And then I'll notice I'm doing it, and I'm like, yeah, I don't like the dopamine looping aspect of the phone. I try not to get caught in that all that often, but it happens. Happens to the worst of us. I'm proof of that. Looking at your phone is a hobby. Shit is really addicting. I start feeling not okay if I don't check my phone. Yeah, oh yeah, like smartphone addiction is only now getting the kind of long-term peer-reviewed study treatment that it deserves, and it'll be another fucking decade before we really know what the cost of device addiction has been in the lives of people. It's a real thing, dude. It's a totally fucking real thing. Like I don't want to like talk shit about people, so I'll keep names out of this, but I knew somebody, right, who lost her phone temporarily. And for me, that's happened to me. Like I've broken a phone before, and it's like it takes a week to get me a phone. And the downside is I've got to tell my friends like, hey, if you want to get a hold of me, you got to call my girlfriend or whatever, because my phone's out of commission until I get this new phone or whatever. Like to me, it's a non-problem. But to this person, it was like fucking like it was like withdrawals. You know what I mean? And you know, the cost of that across the entirety of our society and a lot of foreign societies has got to be immense. You know, I don't mean to boomer it up about cell phones and shit, but I'm telling you, all the boomers that were like TV rots your brains, turns out they were right. Like all the long-term peer-reviewed studies on extended television exposure, extended screen exposure in young people growing up, those things are in. And the results are not good. Depression, panic disorders, anxiety, mood disorders, higher propensity of suicide, blah, 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 blah. It goes on and on. You know what I mean? And to think that this, which is 100% more interactive than any TV ever was, isn't having the same kind of fucking effect on people's brains is ridiculous in my mind. Now, I don't know that, like I said, the studies are not in on this shit, so I'm not trying to quote science that doesn't exist, but I'm telling you, in 10 years, you're going to be reading some fucking horrifying shit about people whose lives have been upended by this. I hadn't heard this. Explains a lot. I was raised by TV for the most part. Didn't have a bad home life, but mom was single for most of my formative years, and I was a latchkey kid. So a lot of us were. My parents worked rotating shift work. You know what I mean? So there were times where me and my little sister were at home alone or with a babysitter a lot. You know what I mean? Because they were working at times when we were up and around and doing things. And so the TV was a big part of my childhood. Now, I grew up at a time and in a place where I had a lot of neighborhood friends and shit. And I equally liked going out with my friends and running around the neighborhood and shit. So I was not like plopped in front of the TV with nothing else to do like a lot of kids were. But, you know, the studies are in. The more exposure kids have to television during their formative years, the more likely they are to have problems. A cable guy upbringing, yeah. I had a psych professor that studied phone use, and she said that an increase of phone use generally means increase in anxiety and depression. Of course, correlation doesn't equal causation. Right, right. Like I said, you can't start talking about it like you know exactly what's going on. There are some short-term studies that are incredibly concerning, but they're not peer-reviewed. They're not double-blind in some cases in the way that they need to be. The long-term studies have begun now and are ongoing. The problem with said studies is a lot of them rely on self-reporting, which was a problem with TV studies at the beginning as well. They would ask kids, how do you feel after watching a lot of TV? And kids, are going to be like, I like it. And they're like, well, see? Like peer-reviewed studies that rely, or studies, not necessarily peer-reviewed, that rely inherently on self-reporting of children are studies that always make me go like, really? Hey, little Susie, do you think that that phone makes you feel bad? No, it makes me feel great. I love my phone. Would it make you feel sad if the phone was taken away from you? Yeah, it would make me feel sad. Well, what a study. Ugh. Like, these kids need to be observed, and their mental health needs to be documented as they age up into adults. It's like, look, you can use self-reporting as part of a study, but a lot of the studies that have come out about cell phone usage and shit, they'll get quoted at me on Twitter and shit. I'll probably get one because I'm talking about it here today. Whenever I bring this shit up, somebody on Twitter will send me some fucking study and I'll read it. Like when somebody sends me a study that seems to contradict something that I've said, I read the study so that I can inform myself. And every fucking time I'm sent one of these studies like, cell phones not as bad for kids as people thought. I look at it and the study relied on self-reporting and journaling from the kids. Of course, kids aren't going to be like, this device is destroying my life. It's taking me away from things that could be meaningful. They're just like, I love my phone. My friends are on Instagram. And they're like, see? Everything fun. Kids fun. People send me these fucking studies and I'm like, dipshit. Take a look at the history of television studies, the over-reliance on self-reporting from television studies, and the way that television studies were financed by companies that had an interest in television. And you tell me that's not happening now. It's not the parents that come up with those studies. It's the companies. Companies finance these studies. They pay scientists to come to this conclusion. Do a self-reporting study and ask kids how they feel about their cell phone usage, and let's release it. We'll put it out. We'll send it out to all the, pop sci magazines. Cell phones okay for kids. That's the headline. Then you look at the study and it's self-reported. Study relies on self-reporting. Study relies on extensive journaling by, the sample children. You want, I can go grab you one of my fucking journals. We can read, you can see what you can scientifically glean from one of my journals when I was 8 years old. I've got a couple. Oftentimes super small sample sizes too, of course. Like I said, there are a number. I don't know who's doing them. I just remember reading that there are a number of long-term, in the future, peer-reviewed, hopefully, studies going on at American universities and universities in Europe. But it's going to take years for those results to be collated and written down and observed and presented as a study. So in the meantime, we've got short-term self-reporting studies telling us everything is A-okay, even though television was horribly destructive to children. Okay. I mean, if you want to go with anecdotal shit, allowing for the fact that this is anecdotal, I've told you guys that I have a sister who has a lot of kids. Every one of her, they don't even have a TV in their house. They don't watch television. Their children do not watch TV except on special occasions. Like if they're over at their grandma's house, they might get to watch a kids movie or some shit. They don't have cell phones. They don't have laptops. They get on the internet under supervision of their parents to look things up for school and shit, and that's it. And I will tell you something. Once again, this is anecdotal. Those children, when I get to be around them, are the smartest fucking kids I've ever been around. And that's not just fucking, you know, uncle nepotism going on here. Those kids are like smart, connected, well-adjusted little kids. The eldest of them read Grey's Anatomy when she was 6 years old, and it's still her favorite book. I don't know if you've ever cracked Grey's Anatomy, but it's a little dense of a read. So they read books, they play outside a lot. All of them have hobbies that are in like one of the little girls the last time I was over there was making jewelry. My little nephew is all into woodworking. He made me a cool ring that glows in the dark that he made on a lathe himself. Like they've all got like hobbies that actually engage them. They're doing the things that like they enjoy doing. Yeah, kid made me a ring. I've got it in there somewhere. Made me a wooden ring that has glow in the dark epoxy in the center of it so that it glows in the dark when you wear it. And it's all made out of wood with that glow in the dark epoxy all the way around. Looks professionally made. Kid's 11. He loves, so I don't get to spend a lot of time around them, unfortunately. But I talk to my mom a lot. She's, you know, of course, their grandmother. And so she catches me up on them. And he loves putting shit together. So every time my mom orders something like from Amazon, which is not that often or whatever, but she gets something from Amazon that has to be like assembled, she calls him. And he runs over that. He fucking loves it. It's his favorite shit. So he, like, I really feel like he's expressing kind of like engineer vibes at this point in his life. Like, I think he's going to be somebody like maybe a woodworker, maybe a furniture builder, maybe an engineer like that, like, you know, designs buildings, plumbing. He's got that fucking knack and that drive, and you can tell how like proud he is of what he does for fun, right? Pretty awesome. Mechanic, electrician, yeah, something with his hands, something technical with his hands. I could see it happening with him. A lot of them are very young, you know what I mean, and so you may not have that same expression yet in their personalities. But the eldest, the one that I described, that read Grey's Anatomy at 6 years old, she throws off mad doctor vibes. She just loves human anatomy. She loves learning about how things work in the human body. She'll talk about it endlessly. Like she's fucking tossing doctor vibes at me. She's fucking 13 years old. You know what I mean? Anecdotal as fuck, but I'm just letting you know that's how their upbringing differs from the average American child's upbringing. They don't have cell phones. They don't fucking have a TV in their house. Their video games are very limited. I know they have like a little uh, old Nintendo console that they're allowed to play every once in a while that has Mario Brothers and shit on it. But they're not allowed to play that shit all fucking day. That's something that they get to do every once in a while for fun. They're all incredibly well behaved. Yeah. I mean, behavior doesn't even really come into it with them. Like the younger ones are rambunctious and shit. And they get in trouble. They have to be talked to and told to settle down. But they're little. They're like toddlers and shit. You know what I mean? But the elder ones, super polite, do their own thing at family get-togethers that I've been to with them, you know. Well-adjusted little kids. Happy, engaged in the world. You know? Pretty crazy. I think it's all a matter of balance. Well, sure, that's that whole everything in moderation kind of thing. And those kids definitely are an example of that. It's not like they've never seen a movie or they've never seen TV. They were over at my mom's house for the Super Bowl, she told me. And they sat and watched the game and watched the commercials and stuff, you know. So it's not like they've never been exposed to it. It's just not their day to day. It's the internet is not their life. They don't have Twitters. They don't engage in that shit. Are they religious? Yes, very, very. Lazy parents use technology to raise their kids. Good parents use technology as a tool to teach. Well, my sister is a teacher. So that's, I'm sure, a big help. But my sister is a credentialed teacher. You have to do your job as an uncle and corrupt them with the dangers of atheism. I do? How do you raise that many kids on a teacher's salary? Her husband is not a teacher. That's all I'll say. Did you trim your beard? Nope. It's just floofy today. I haven't trimmed my beard in months. Got a boogie. Boogie patrol. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that'll end up happening with these kids or whatever. Like, as they get older into their high school and college years, if they'll start calling me up for, like, advice or because they can't talk to their mom and dad about stuff. I'm prepped for that shit. I want to do right by the kids. But, you know, I'm going to tell them like I tell you guys. I don't know everything. I don't know the right answer to everything. You know, I can give you some advice on what's happened to me, but when it comes to like what's good for you, you got to decide that shit. Next time you shave your beard off, can you weigh it to see how much matter actually composed your beard for science? I'm not going to shave my beard off, bro. It's not going to happen. This beard is here to stay. I don't want to be beardless ever again. I don't want to trim my beard anymore. I just want to let it do what it do. Hello, D. How are you, fluff butt? How are you, beautiful?
It's getting there.
Yeah. Weigh the beard. Weigh the beard. I bet there's like a pound of hair here, maybe. What do you think? Like if I chopped every bit of hair off of my beard, put it in a baggie and weighed it.
I don't think it would be.
You don't think it'd be a pound? How much do you think it would be? Like 5-6 ounces of hair or something like that?
12 maybe.
Well, 12 ounces is a pound.
No, 16 ounces.
Why didn't they teach me that in school? Why have I walked around my whole life thinking 12 ounces is a goddamn pound? What? What? They teach you that at the drug dealer's house? Yeah. Oh, yeah, 12 ounces is a whole pound. Here you go, buddy. 12 inches is a foot. That's right. Maybe that's where I got fucked up. Why does anybody ever listen to a fucking thing I say? How many grams is in an ounce?
I have to double check that.
Yeah, I don't know. The weights and measures shit, I fucking glazed over in school, I'll be honest. And I've never had to really use it.
It's 28.35 grams.
Oh, Jesus.
Because grams and ounces are different.
Well, yeah. They have to be like... Ugh. Don't make me do math. Don't make me do it. Please. It will only reveal how truly stupid I am at the core. I mean, I buy an ounce, yeah, but like... I bought an ounce. I know ounces, I just don't... I know what an ounce of weed looks like. I know, what it looks like on a scale that says 1 ounce or whatever. I know that. I know an ounce of weed. Weed math is not math. Yeah, I know what an eighth is, an eighth of an ounce. And I know what an eighth looks like, too. I know when I'm getting a short eighth just by looking at the eighth. But weed math is not math. Seeing you try to do math is hilarious. I know. Dude, I really was. Like, I felt like a dumb kid when it came to math because I really struggled with it. Like, I really did. It was really hard for me to do math past, like, the long division level. I was okay at math until they started introducing all the variables and shit. And then I just fell off hard. You've missed super chats? Well, shit. Thanks for being around during lockdown days, dude. Just want you to know it's appreciated, and I see a friendly face when socializing is banned. Cool. I'm happy to be here.
I think some countries actually have a real lockdown.
Yeah, that's true. As soon as I got to 4th grade, math got hard as fuck for me. Around the 6th grade is when I started struggling because they started to introduce variables. X equals 3. 1 plus X equals 3. And it seems simple, and I could do that one. X is 2.
But not 2X plus 6 equals
but I could
20X or whatever.
Right. It just started to get more and more complex to me. And when I got into high school, I had to take algebra for the first time. I was in pre-algebra in 8th grade, where they were introducing you to the idea of variables and all of that. And I felt like algebra was such a leap from what they had taught me in 8th grade, and I was lost, man, and I didn't know how to ask for help. All the numbers and the ratios and the different ways that you had to treat an equation based on how the equation was composed, the different ways that you could rewrite. Oh my God, that drove me nuts when I found out that you could take an equation and simplify it and rewrite it so that it's easier to solve. I was just like, fuck this. Then just give me the easy one to solve. Don't give me this fucking 92x to the second power equals 72x divided by x 17 shit.
Yeah, I probably couldn't do it anymore, honestly.
I bet you'd pick it up way quicker than I would.
It's just been so long.
I bet you would be way quicker to like be able to do it than I would. It hasn't been as long for you as it has been for me. I barely passed high school because of my math shit. I aced everything else. All my other subjects I got A's and B's in, but I barely squeaked through with a C in algebra. I got a C in algebra, which let me go to geometry. I flunked geometry my sophomore year, had to retake it my junior year, and my school required algebra 2 to graduate. So I had to get a special deferment that allowed me to fill my algebra 2 requirement somewhere else because I couldn't do algebra 2. I literally sat down in it and I was like, I will fail this class. I went to my school counselor. I talked to my parents and I was like, I will fail this class. I'm not prepared for this class. I barely passed the one that preceded it. I'm going to fail. I don't want to fail. And so they allowed me to use, I took an AP history course, and that gave the college credit that would have been taken by algebra 2.
Mine was all fucked up because they started pushing it back to middle school. So like, if you took algebra in middle school, it counted as the high school credit for math.
Yeah, that thing was, it was around for kids that were good at math when I was in school too. There were kids that were taking algebra in like 7th and 8th grade.
Now it probably doesn't. Now it's probably like you do algebra in 8th grade, but it doesn't count towards shit and want everyone doing pre-calc.
You're probably right. You're probably right. Seems you have a bit of a gap between your verbal and performance IQ. Huh? Say what?
I had one really bad math teacher for geometry. He was an engineer with no teaching degree.
Ooh. Yeah, that sucks.
So he knew what he was talking about, but fuck if he knew how to teach it.
I actually can't claim that I did. I had a really good teacher once I got to geometry. My algebra teacher was kind of like that. Didn't give a shit. And I barely squeaked through that class.
Mine ended up getting fired just because everyone was fucking failing.
Yeah.
But the other class where we all failed in science, that teacher got to stay.
Yeah, of course. I was lucky. I only had a couple of teachers that I feel like were like bad teachers in all my history through school. I only had a couple of teachers that I feel like were like, okay, this person is kind of a shitty teacher. One was an English teacher, and it wasn't that she was a shitty teacher. She'd been doing it forever. My dad had her in English, and she was still teaching by the time I got to English. She was just stuck in her ways in a way that made her inefficient as a teacher. She didn't realize the value of certain extracurriculars, but overemphasized the values of others. Like the big problem I had with her was the football team guys that were in AP English. There was never a question that it was fine for them to miss class when they had a game and shit when they were traveling. But if I needed to take class off to go to a competition, she didn't want me doing it. She didn't see the value in it. Even though our fucking school was bringing home the gold all over the state.
And you ended up getting a scholarship from it, just like the football
Right.
dudes got a scholarship.
I got a scholarship to throw in that bitch's face. I got a full ride scholarship to a state university, not based on my fucking English skills, based on my acting skills. So that shit that I was wasting my time with in her mind would have facilitated a full ride through college for me had I been capable of doing it. Bro, I had so many tutors as a kid for math, geometry specifically. There are also way too many English classes. Like, do I need it every year? I actually loved English classes. I know they're repetitious to people who aren't into that, but I loved the class that was based around you're going to read this book and understand it. That's my shit. I like that.
I got like a throwaway senior English class. It was called Writing About Film, which consisted of watching movies and then answering like 4 questions about them.
That's neat. I like that. I wish I could have took that. We didn't get to watch no movies in school. Yeah, see, I didn't struggle at all with English lit. That was my jam. I aced every English class I ever took, every literature class I ever took, every history class I ever took. It was easy as pie for me. I was engaged and actually interested in the work, and it was very simple for me to do. And so I had a good run with that. But math was the whole other end of that spectrum. I struggled hard. It's interesting how some people excel at English, suck at math, but some people the other way around. It's just different. People's brains are wired differently, people learn differently, and people have different aptitudes. And that's one of the tragedies of the modern public school system is that children are all being treated like robots that are all the same. They're all being given the same script. That's what Common Core is, basically. And all these different brains out there are interpreting it differently. Some of them just run away with it because they have that kind of brain that parses facts well, and others don't. And they fail. And that's the way it works now. That's public school. Children are not treated like individuals with different aptitudes. And as a result of that, children hate the fucking school. They hate going.
And they funnel everyone into college. Even though most people can't afford college.
I mean, college is for some people. Trade school is for some people. Going straight into the workforce after college is for some people. And school needs to identify those people and prepare them for that life. I took AP courses, but I was never prepped for college. You know what would have been useful to me as a senior? Like a semester of a special class of this is what it's like to be in college. Where it's like, they take you on a field trip down to the college, walk you around the college, show you the dorms, show you how to find your classes, show you how to pick classes, show you how to plan out a schedule that you can get to, and all of that. I didn't get none of that. I got no preparation for college at all. The most preparation I got for college was the summer school for the arts that I went to, where I spent 2.5 months on the Cal Arts campus, living like a college student. But I didn't know that that's what I was doing. And the class sizes were insanely small because it was done during a time when the actual classes at Cal Arts were not in session. So even though they brought a bunch of kids from all over the world, it was still about half the amount of people that would normally be at a college. And everything was handled for you. You were told where to go. You were shown where to go. You didn't have to go seek out a guide. I didn't even know there was such thing as a fucking guidance counselor when I went to college the first time. I was literally like, I pulled up, I parked in the student parking, and then realized I didn't have a fucking parking pass. That was my first day of school. Are they going to tow my car? Luckily, there's a grace period, I guess. So I went to my classes that day, scared shitless, not knowing what was going on, and found the teachers to be completely uninterested in me, which is different. High school teachers take a direct interest. College teachers are there to disseminate information and you're there to process it. You know what I mean? And I was just like, oh, fuck. And it all seemed so much more complex than what I was used to. I ran all over the fucking campus looking for the right place to buy the parking pass that I got. And I went home and I cried. That was my first day of college. I was scared shitless and I didn't want to tell people like, I don't know what I'm doing. Because everybody had all this fucking like faith in me. Because I'd gotten this fucking scholarship. They thought I was going to go do big things and all this pressure was on me. And I just wasn't ready. I was not mature enough for it.
Yeah, I told you about some of my lazy college teachers.
Yeah, I mean, it's just... Hell, I would have loved to pick my own classes in high school. Every student should have to build their own schedule. You're right. As preparation for that shit. You know, it was crazy. It was insane to me. And I had very little support at all. And a lot of that was due to the fact that I didn't reach out for it. But I was just not mature enough to do the college thing. I felt like a little kid with a bunch of adults. And I was just in their way. And I wasn't getting what was being told to me at these classes. And I wasn't understanding the workload and how I was supposed to distribute it amongst my life. And I wasn't understanding how to build a schedule and what it meant that I could drop a class and add a class. And like, you know, I heard people talking about drop dates and final drop dates and shit. I wasn't prepared for any of this shit. I had no idea what I was doing. And it overwhelmed me and I quit. And it was like fucking, I was the pariah of the family after that because I was the first person in my direct family to go to college in a long time.
Then you got the vice versa, where you had your sister pass college and then not do it.
Right. My sister aced fucking college. She got a teaching degree in 3 years. She took an insane credit load and breezed through college. She was just made for it. Mm-hmm. Then worked for like a school year and then retired to raise her children. So she went to school and went through all that acrimony to become a teacher and pushed herself to do it that quickly. Only to just, well, you know, I'm going to be a housewife. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, it's a fucking job just like anything else, especially when you have as many children as she does. I mean, fucking A. She works from dawn to dusk. But what good was college for her in the long run? I guess it prepared her to teach her children. That's nice, but at the end of the day, she probably could have done it without it. You know, so college is just not for everybody. You know what I wanted to do when I was in college? I tried to build my college, when I went back a couple of different times, tried to build my college experience around theater. Because that's what I wanted to be there for. That's what my scholarship was for. But instead, I was told when I went to counselors and shit, no. You can take a theater class, but you have to fill out your schedule with your general ed. And I'm looking at the general ed and it's all shit I've taken. Math classes, English classes, literature classes that I know I'm going to breeze through. And I'm like, why do I have to prove that I've been through high school? And take all these high school classes. College should, like, if you go to college, you should immediately be allowed to declare a major and immediately allowed to fucking start pursuing classes that are towards that major. Yes, there are some things that are adjacent. Like if you want to be a fucking engineer, you need to take math classes. If you want to be a fucking actor, you need to take literature and history of film classes and all that shit. Right? But there's no way that a fucking person that is... I was a performing arts major. My declared major was performing arts. I was taking fucking statistics classes that I didn't understand. Why? You need some gen eds to be a well-rounded person, though. Otherwise, no one would take philosophy. Sure, so allow people to choose their gen eds then. Give me the choice to not take another fucking English class if I don't think I need it, and let me fill it out with a philosophy class. Give me the choice to not take another fucking higher math class, trigonometry, when I know I'm never going to need it. I'm never going to be a person that's out there fucking making blueprints and shit. It's not going to make me more well-rounded, so let me replace that with a Native American history class or some shit. Like, I'm for, and that's the point too, asbestos fingers, that I'm trying to get across, is that high school is supposed to be where you get well-rounded. High school is supposed to be where you get a taste of all this shit. You find your aptitudes, and then college is supposed to be about where you express those aptitudes and become that. And instead, it's like high school 2, electric boogaloo, where you're forced to take a trig class. It's like, why? I'm never going to be an engineer. I'm never going to be somebody who designs buildings. I'm never going to be somebody who's standing in front of a chalkboard puzzling over the mysteries of the cosmos and trying to explain it numerically and factually and factorally with a fucking, equation. I'm never going to be that guy. I don't have that aptitude. I'm fine with, within the sphere. Here's the thing. If you look at the Nordic model of schooling, here's what happens. During your kindergarten through, and this is all different there, so you have to, I'm just Americanizing it, but it's generally the same given the terminology difference, okay? So in an American way, from your kindergarten through 6th grade year, your aptitudes are figured out, right? Your middle school year is where you are allowed to explore those aptitudes. Your high school year is where you start to express those aptitudes. High school in the Nordic model is often like a trade school where people will declare a major and go and learn things in high school that will prepare them for the higher learning that they'll get at university. So they're already being prepped. And it's not like they're excluded from taking other things. They get well-rounded. They take English lit or whatever, literature classes and history classes and political classes and all of that shit, just like our kids do. But most of their day is spent funneling their aptitudes towards the ultimate goal of finding their place in society, finding what they love to do and finding out how to do it. So there are different high schools for people with different aptitudes. If your aptitude is in mathematics, you go to the science and mathematics school, and you're immersed in that shit. If your aptitude is English, literature, performance, you go to the performing arts and English lit high school, and you're immersed in it. And you're prepared to go on to college and continue to be immersed in it. And it's like your life trajectory is narrowed down to a fine point. And by the end of college, you know what you want to be. That's the idea of an education. What if you have no academic aptitude? Every child has an academic aptitude. Every child. I learned this by working around teachers, by the way, and going to teacher conferences where they would talk about things like this. Every child has an aptitude. So stick that in your pipe and smoke it. Finding those aptitudes, creating joy out of those aptitudes, and funneling those children as they become adolescents and adults towards those aptitudes in an ever finer point until they reach the pinnacle of that pyramid and they know what they want to be and they have the skills and the schooling to justify being it, and then they can go out into the world and make what they were most interested in. That is the idea of education that I have in my mind. And it's more like a straight tree trunk where you're just layered with surreptitious knowledge. And if you can take it, eventually you get to take some cool specialty classes on your major. Why? Gassing. Oof. Man. Whew. Riding a dirt bike like that fast. Dude, if that fucking thing comes out from under you, you are a scab on the road. I don't care what you're wearing. You're going to leave about half your fucking skin on that road. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I don't want no dirt bike. That's why you wear that polyplastic body plate armor. I mean, you can armor yourself up, and the dude that drove by, he was helmeted up, and it looks like he had some pads on him. But I'm telling you, man, if that thing had come out from under him coming around this corner at the speed he did, he accelerated into the turn. And it's not like a super hard turn, but if he'd have laid that bike down right there, I don't care what he was wearing. Ever had a car crash that you blacked out in? I blacked out in the first one that almost killed my whole family. It knocked me unconscious. I also blacked out in the car crash where we were T-boned in an intersection, and I was sitting in the back right-hand seat with no seatbelt on. And I was hit, thrown across, and knocked into my friend and the other side of the car, and I was unconscious for a little while. Yeah, dude. Those are the two gnarliest car accidents that I was ever involved in. One of them, like I said, almost killed my entire family. It was in 1985. And it was one of the car accidents that was cited in the eventual passage of the first seatbelt law in America. That happened in the 80s in California. And so our case was cited in that legislation. My parents were both not wearing seatbelts, so they were fucked up. My sister and I were wearing seatbelts, and we were not fucked up. I had a car crash where I fell asleep at the wheel early in the morning on Friday because I was so overworked and exhausted. Yeah, well, you got to be careful with that shit. Driving tired is just like driving drunk. Like driving at a certain level of exhaustion is just like driving drunk. There's no functional difference. I did a DNA test. Apparently, we're related. Yes, you and I, Paul Zigo, you are my dad. I want to meet you so we can catch up on things, you know. I never knew I had a dad when I grew up. Shit. Listen. Forget you ever heard about me. I'm not your daddy. I never wanted to be. I've heard about you, and I thought you might come skulking around. Well, I don't believe you. You're no son of mine. Be gone from my sight. Dude, if I had a kid, I'd know. My people that I've slept with meter is not very high. So if one of them had a kid, I would hear it through the grapevine, trust me. Yep. We do regular dewormer. They go to the vet like for checkups, and that's when they get their dewormer usually. My brother was an accident investigator for 15 years. He had a lot of heartbreaking, gruesome stories, I bet. I thought you could only conceive in vitro. That is true. I was told by 2 fertility specialists that I produce such a low amount of viable sperm that it is almost inconceivable that I ever have a pregnancy that is, like mine through in vitro or other fertility therapy or whatever the fuck. Like my swimmers are fucking, you know what I mean? They don't do it right. They don't know what they're doing. Bummer. Is it? I'll tell you this. If I had had children earlier in my life, I wouldn't be sitting here doing what I'm doing now. I wouldn't have the liberty to explore my life the way that I do. I wouldn't have the liberty to move to places that I wanted to live to. I'd be sitting with my children and working a steady, predictable job. And that'd be that. Yeah, at one point, I did want to have kids, for sure. You have to learn to reassess your fucking desires. And you have to learn to look at the bright side of the cloud if you're a person that wanted to have kids. One of the reasons I always wanted to have kids was I was told that I'm really good with kids my whole life. And I was kind of prepped for fatherhood by the people that I respected by saying, "Oh, you're really good with kids. You're going to be a really good father, whatever the fuck, someday." And I wanted I believed that, I guess. And I wanted to try and be that. Turns out that I couldn't. And the relationship in which that was going on came to an end. And I did a lot of reassessment in my life. Like, I had to take stock. Once I left that relationship and marriage and trajectory, I had to decide, like, what road am I taking here? And the voice in my head screamed at me, it is a fucking lucky thing that you never had children, because you wouldn't be able to make this choice if you had children. You should not have children. If you want to live this kind of life where you're semi-nomadic, you kind of move around a little bit, you're not tied down to any one place, you can't have children. There's a level of selfishness to that I won't deny. But it's my life and it's now or never. I don't want to live forever. Introducing DFF with family-friendly Paul. Careful, the kids are listening. Man, this Ben Shapiro is a gosh darn poopy head. PG Paul, yeah. Train me, baby, one more time. People all over the world, join hands. Start a love train, a love train. People all over the world, join hands. Dude, it's been a trainy couple of days, I'll be honest with you. Like this morning, before I started this, I was sitting out here and it's like, train, train, train. I'm like, the engine of Economos. There's a lot of goods being shifted around. Do you feel like people with serious inheritable diseases should reproduce? I don't like the word should. Should implies this whole basis of morality that I don't even know what side to be on. It depends on this serious inheritable disease. You know, how far do you take it? I don't know, man. It's a question I don't have an answer for because I don't like the idea of telling people, like, you can't have kids. No. At least I don't like being the person that flows forth from. As much shit as I've talked in the past about there needing to be a fucking test before parenthood can happen, like, you really can't intercede in people's fucking biological functioning. And it's like, how do you do that in a non-dystopian way, you know? I get visions of people being dragged off to clinics to be forcibly sterilized and shit by dudes in weird gas masks, you know? I don't want to, like, you know what I mean? I don't want to be behind, I don't want to be an agent of that. So what do you do? Do you remember when and where you got that beanie? Got it at a skate shop. I'm trying to remember where I was. I was in a skate shop in LA somewhere, honestly. What was I there for? Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay, so I went to LA to see a tennis match. I used to be really into tennis. I still kind of am. I like watching it. But it was like an exhibition match with a bunch of old, like, it had Roger Federer was there, and then fucking Pete Sampras and a bunch of, you know, old tennis pros and shit. And they came and did exhibition matches and shit. It was fun to watch. Went to LA for that. Had a lot of time to kill during the day once we got to LA, and I wandered into a skate shop and saw this beanie sitting on a mannequin. And I asked the dude if he had any more of those, and he said, no, I think we only got one of those. Put it out on the mannequin. I was like, can I just grab it? He's like, sure. Snagged it. Slave is another, they make trucks, I think, for skateboards. It's a skate company. So I think they make wheels and trucks for skateboards. Hopefully we can use this designer baby technology to rid our species of disability. I mean, sure. Why not? I like skate shops, and I like stuff that I find in them. Skate shops weren't a relic in the 90s. They were pretty fucking numerous all over town in the 90s, pretty ubiquitous. Skating, like, had a huge uptick in popularity in the 90s. Tons of big fucking stars were made. Rodney Mullen and shit became a big superstar in the 90s. I'm trying to remember some of the other names. I mean, Tony Hawk, obviously, became a legend in the 80s and continued to be one into the 90s. There's a big uptick in skating in the 90s. I know that because I lived in that subculture. It's probably one of the reasons why I walk into a skate shop and it's fucking comfy as fuck for me. Like, I know I'm going to be able to find a hat or a beanie or some shit that I want. And now they're kind of anachronistic. It's hard to find skate shops. You can find them in like beach towns in California. There's skate shops in LA and shit. But your average, like my little hometown back in the day in the 90s had a skate shop. Shitty Madera, California had a skate shop. So. No, I don't skate. I chilled with a lot of people that skated, but never had the athletic aptitude when it became popular to really do it. I had a skateboard when I was way younger, but it was a big fat body skateboard, a big 80s style skateboard, and I'd ride around on that. So I skated back when I was a younger kid, but never to do like tricks or anything. Like the biggest trick that I could do was to like get going really fast and then use the bumper at the back of it to slow myself down. Like that's as tricky as I got. And once again, we're talking about being on a big fat body 80s style skateboard, not the little slimline trick boards that were popular in the 90s. So, but I had a lot of friends that were into skating at various levels. I had one friend that did a little bit of vert. He was a crazy fuck. But most of my friends were just kind of like fuck around street skater type of folks that we'd go kick it, we'd get high, and they'd, try and ollie up onto a park bench and do a 50-50 on it or some shit and fall over and over. It was good times. I didn't have a long board. It was like they call it a fat body board. Had big urethane wheels, responsive trucks on it, so it turned real good, but it was just really big. It was not meant for tricking. It was meant for stability, like keeping both your feet firmly planted on it, using the back end to make quick turns and stuff. And yeah, it's gonna fucking date me and shit, but I had a pair of rollerblades when I was in my teens. I actually really liked it. It was not like my friends made fun of rollerbladers. They called them fruit booters. But when I got, I don't know, I was like 13 or 14 or something. I got a pair of rollerblades. I asked for them for Christmas or something. And I got a pair of blades, bro. And they were pretty fun to skate around on. Once again, I never got too crazy with them, but I got to the point where I could go real fast on them, and it was cool to coast around the fucking neighborhood on them, and like pull up to your friend's house and you'd step out of them and run around a little bit. I had a backpack with a pair of shoes in it, and when I was done with them, I could pack them up in my backpack and put my shoes on. It was a quick way to get around the neighborhood that was different from just having a bike, which, I don't know, bikes when I was a kid were kind of passe. I had one when I was little. I rode it everywhere, and it's like when you become a teenager, having a bike is kind of dorky. Well, at least it was when I was a kid. BMX was not at the height of its popularity. Yeah, I missed the Heelys. I was too old for the Heelys. They didn't come out when I was a teenager, so. But when it comes to like that influence on me, what's left behind is just my propensity for liking really comfortable clothes. Skaters wore really loose-fitting, comfortable kind of clothes. Beanies were a staple. I love beanies to this day. And, I like getting my shoes and my hats and shit from skate companies. They make comfy shit. Like, this is like, I can't even tell you guys how comfortable this beanie is. I'm sure it looks it. It's comfortable as fuck. It's just perfect. It's a perfect old school fucking skater beanie. It's so comfy. The shoes that I wear almost every day are Airwalk skate shoes that I got at a skate shop. fucking 10 years ago or more, 13 probably. Now, knowing my old ass, comfortable as fuck. Do you think skateboard culture had much of an impact on the development of your personality? I mean, it certainly, when I was a teenager, you know, it helped to drive the music that I listened to. It took the interest that I'd gained in hip hop around middle school. So I got really into hip hop around middle school because I had a couple of friends, both Hispanic dudes, that were really into hip hop. And so that was the era when Dr. Dre dropped The Chronic and shit. Snoop Dogg dropped his first album. Bone Thugs and Harmony dropped their first album, all while I was in middle school. So that was a very, like, I came kind of rushing out of middle school with this interest in rap. And once, you know, I got with my group of people in high school, most of them were skate kids. And skate kids listened to punk, they listened to rap and hip hop, and they listened to metal. And so I like alt metal. So I got into like the Deftones, and I got into East Coast rap because of my friends that were in, you know, kind of skate culture or whatever. They listen to a lot of fucking Wu-Tang and Biggie Smalls and the East Coast staples, Puff, and all that shit. I would probably have never gotten into that had I not been exposed. So musically, being adjacent to that culture and being somebody that hung around with a lot of people that were really in that culture and really riding boards and stuff, like, definitely flavored my musical taste for sure. So I don't know. Tony Hawk games are pretty much the roots of all music I like. That's kind of cool. I mean, I remember the Tony Hawk games having a really cool soundtrack, but a lot of the songs that were on there were songs that I'd heard already because I hung out with skaters. Speaking of skatings, didn't you get into rap at a skate rink? Well, the first like song that I ever heard that was adjacent to rap that caught me by the fucking mind was when I was at the skating rink. Yeah. I heard Belle Biv DeVoe's fucking Poison got played at the skating rink while I was skating around. And that fucking song, I had to stop and sit and listen to it. And then I became obsessed with that shit. And it was my first kind of taste of that break beat. Bump, 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 bump. The sampling in that song. I'd never heard anything like it. You know, my parents were not into the early burgeoning rap shit. They listened to a lot of fucking 50s, 60s, 70s music, Motown, which was adjacent to rap, but I'd never heard that sample sound until I heard Belle Biv DeVoe Poison while I was at the skate rink. And I was like, oh shit. Oh shit. New Jack Swing was great. Motown Philly, yep. Boys to Men, ABC, BBD. The East Coast family. Back in school, we used to dream about this every day. Could it really happen, or would dreams just fade away? Then we started singing, and they said it sounded cool. So we started a group, and here we are, kicking it just for you. Oh, Motown Philly. I like my scrub jays. Don't piss on my scrub jays. I like them. They can dinosaur it up whenever they want. Man, I love it. Are you a fan of Vans or DCs? I like Vans. I have a pair of Chuck Taylors that I wear. I don't wear them a lot because they're nice. I like to keep them fresh because they're cool. They're red on black, so I keep those for when I'm wanting to feel a little bit, just a tad bit extra fresh. Then I bust out my high top Chuck Taylors, and yeah, I like Airwalk. I don't know if Airwalk even still makes shoes, but Airwalk was always my favorite brand of shoe. Just the comfiest fucking shoe, man. Skate shoes, low top, slip on style. No tie laces where you do the straight lacing on it. You get it nice and loose. You just slip your foot in that motherfucker, pull it up in the back. Oh, good to go all day, comfy as fuck. That's my shoe. I like that type of shoe. I never had any ethnies. I had there was actually a sneaker company back in the day. Well, I'll tell you guys. I had a dope pair of shoes when I was a kid. So I would have been about 7 years old. So this would have been 1987. I begged my parents. Now you got to remember, my parents were working class. I begged my parents for a pair of Jordans, and I got them. I had a pair of 1987 Jordans. Clean as fuck. Wore them to school once a week, just so I could show them to kids. No, those are Jordans. No, yeah. That's him right there, Duncan. That's the Dunk logo right there. But that was the nicest pair of sneakers I ever owned. I'll tell you that right now. Most of my shoes came from Payless. The shoes that I got that I wore most days were British Knights from Payless. And they made a fucking comfy ass shoe. You remember British Knights? They were high top Jordans, red on black, with the logo. But kid size. $1987 was the year I got them. You do the math. I don't know. Payless, yeah. Well, as it stands now, when I need a new pair of shoes, I look at skate shoes. I look at the old skate brands, and I look at a shoe that looks fucking poofy and comfy, and I get that shoe. I just haven't had to do it in a long-ass fucking time. Converses, yeah. Those are my Chuck T's. My high-top Chuck T's. Weren't those like knockoff black Reeboks? Yeah, if you're a dork. Dude, Chuck Taylors are fashionable. Still to this day. Clean ass looking shoe. Get the fuck out of here with that nonsense. Chuck Taylors in any cut are still a classic. Still classic. You better believe. How many shoes you got? I have 3 pairs of shoes and a pair of house shoes that I like, slippers that I put on. So I have the Chuck Taylors that I mentioned. I have a 12 or 13-year-old pair of Airwalk skate shoes, low tops that I wear everywhere. And I've got a pair of Timberland boots for if I've got to go do shit out in the yard or I'm going to the snow or some shit. That's it. 3 different types of shoes for 3 different types of need. The Converse are for flexing, Airwalks are for daily wear, and the Timberlands are for specialty, I'm going out in the woods to traipse around needs. That's it. I got the all black Timbs. You know how we keep it. I like shoes. I think if I got into sneaker culture, it would be a dangerous waste of money for me because I really do like shoes. I like a clean looking pair of sneakers. So, no Vans. Why not? Vans had a comfy shoe back in the day. I got the best fashion of DFF. I don't know about that. I just have an appreciation for cool shoes and skater beanies. Oh my God, shoes. 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 Oh my God, shoes. Let's get some shoes. Let's get some shoes. Let's get some shoes. Let's get some shoes. Oh my God. Those are so cute. I love those shoes. Who was that? Dude, that's an old meme. Holy shit. That's a deep, dusty early 2000s meme that just came crawling out of me. These shoes suck. These shoes suck. These shoes suck. These shoes suck. Shoes. 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 Those shoes are mine, bitch. Fuck you, bitch. Get away from my shoes, bitch. Shoes. Dude, now it's stuck in my head. Shoes. Shoes. That look on her face. Shoes. Oh my God, shoes. Let's get some shoes. What the fuck, dude? Dude, Marshall, if you're in the room, we gotta remix shoes. Oh shit. Beauregard just had a fucking idea. Trap remix of shoes. Ooh. Marshall, if you're not here, you're about to be hit up on Twitter, homie. Ooh. That made my balls tingle. Heavy trap remix of shoes. Beauregard flexing his different pairs of shoes that I don't have, but he does. Shoes. You know, I got them blued out Nikes. Shoes. Let's get some shoes, right? Let's get some shoes. Yeah. This is going to be awesome. Oh, fuck. Let's party. Maybe it'll go insanely viral and make you both rich. Maybe. Maybe it'll also just be a lot of fun to make and we'll have a good time making it. That's all I really care about. If I get rich doing it, all the better. But that ain't the fucking goal. Shoes. 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 Oh my God, shoes. Let's get some shoes. Let's get some shoes. You want some shoes? Let's get some shoes. Fuck you, bitch. I'll go inside, big. Go. Is that a John Goodman shirt? It is. It's the dude and John Goodman. I got this at an anime con. What was it called? IkiCon in Austin, Japan. Austin, Japan. I'm too stoned. Austin, Texas. Austin, Japan, dude. You guys know Austin, Japan. You've been there, right? Yeah, it was called IkiCon. It was in Austin. I don't know. I saw this shirt and I was like, do you have it in fat guy sizes? She was like, of course. And I was like, then let me give you whatever it costs. And she was like, thank you. And I've had it since. Austin, Japan, dude. Yeah, that's by Cleveland, Russia. Yeah, it's right next door to Cleveland, Russia. You got it. Shoes. 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 Oh my God, shoes. I'm going to be obsessed. I'm not going to watch the new one, Masks. It sounds lame. It sounds way lamer than Shoes. I'll watch Shoes when it comes out. I am pretty stoned. I'm not going to lie. I'm at a 7 out of 10 here. And I'm about to pack a Keef bowl. For most people, this is inadvisable, especially during a live stream. But I'm not most people. A 7 can become an 8, and an 8 can become a 9. And a 9, well, it can become a 10. Let's get some shoes. The highest I've ever been was the night that Ben brought a plate of brownies, like a tray of brownies over. And he warned me about said brownies. He warned everybody in that very Ben way. He was like, dude, I made like a triple strength batch of can of butter for these. These are fucking like Space Cadet brownies. You don't want to eat a bunch of these brownies. And I was like, all right, big ups. Thank you for the warning. So I promptly ate 2. Whole big ass, they're like big gooey fucking brownies like this. Promptly ate 2. I spent conservatively 6 hours laying in TJ's recliner, listening to the hum that my body made. It was like, I wasn't making any noise, but that's how my body sounded. and I could feel the vibration of that all through my body. And I just laid in TJ's recliner, half awake, half in a dream state for about 6 hours before I moseyed on to bed. Those are also, and this is part of the story, the brownies that sent Scotty to the hospital. Important to note. I became Vishnu, yeah. Yeah, Scotty had what's very well documented, and I've had them before too, what we call a weed panic attack. Did he actually need to go? No. No paranoia, not on my end. My brain was too melted to be paranoid. I was a pile of vibrating mush at one with the vibrating hum of the galaxy for about 6 years. Felt like 6 years, but it was about 6 hours. Just like, it was nice. I've had a high dose of edibles last 2 days. Well, when you're a daily smoker like me, I'm pretty sure that edible dose didn't wear off for probably a couple of days. So I totally understand that for sure. But, being a smoker like I am, it's hard to notice that lower level. You have to ask Scotty and TJ about the story. It happened while I was passed the fuck out. I was staying with them at the time. So you would think I would have heard something about it, but I heard nothing about it. I was in fucking... I was in Mongolian throat singing land. So the story as they've told it before was that Scotty knocked on TJ's door kind of late at night and told him that he thought he was having a heart problem or something, needed to be taken to the emergency room. TJ drove him to the emergency room. And then, we lived in a legal state. And so they asked him, like, have you taken any drugs, any marijuana? And he said, yeah, I had an edible. And they, like, what I remember, they gave him, like, a fucking Valium and sent him home. It happens. Like I said, I once called an ex while having a weed panic attack in my 20s. So I have no judgment against Scotty. I once stoned dialed an ex because I thought I was having a heart attack during a weed panic attack in my 20s. I want you guys to think about the implications of that. How did that go? She came over. And we fucked. I mean... cured my heart attack. It was an ill-conceived call to make, though. It was not, trust me, it was not worth. When I smoked for the first time, I threw up in my friend's kitchen sink, and he had to wash it away before he wondered what was taking so long and came out. Poor you. My weed guy was in Tampa for the Super Bowl. I told him I'm on a tolerance break. In reality, I just don't trust him not to be sick. What? Why don't you stop putting your weed guy's business out on the street? Like, I I'm gonna go ahead and ban you now. That just gave me like, I don't understand anything about the culture I'm talking about vibes. So you're not welcome here. Get the fuck out. Have you ever gone to hospital? Yes. Never for weed, but I've gone to the hospital a couple of times in my life. I broke an arm when I was a little kid, had to go to the ER and have the bones reset and cast it up and blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to think. Oh, yeah, my gallbladder and the pilonidal cyst. That's three trips to the ER. The one where I fell on my ribs and had pleurisy, where like the meat of my lungs and shit were separating from my ribs. That was one of the most painful things that ever happened to me, by the way. That was an ER trip in the middle of the fucking night. So that's another one. Do you have to take pain pills? Yes. Yes, I did. It was horrible. What the fuck causes that? I had a really bad cough leading into it. Coughing can cause it. I also took a fall that injured and fractured a rib, and that can cause it. So the doctors were like 50-50 on whether or not I'd coughed so much and so hard that I'd broken a rib and caused some of the cartilage or whatever it is that connects your lungs to your rib cage to tear away, or whether it was the fall that had done it. So, yeah. It was really nasty. What time frame, what do you think is advisable for meeting someone you chat with from another country? Whatever time frame you want. Like, meeting somebody is meeting somebody. If you guys both decide you want to meet, there's no like perfect time frame for that. Just go do it if you can do it. There's no like, you must wait 6 months. Let's do it. Just do it. That's what the Nike people would tell you. Just do it. Yeah, broken ribs are horrible. I've broken ribs twice in my life, and there's really no cure for it. It's just like be in pain for about 3 months, and then in less pain for about another 3 months, and then finally start feeling normal, kind of, for about 3 months, and then finally it's healed. That's been my experience with rib injuries. Trying to breathe. Yeah, breathing, moving, sleeping in any position. All of this shit causes you pain. Getting up from the bed, standing up, walking, it's foundational pain. Ribs do taste good. They do. Hey, baby. I think I'm going to